بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to have our second session on Surah An-Naba. Before we continue with the surah, I would like to share a hadith about significance of believers visiting each other, meeting each other, especially when they dedicate part of the time that they spend together for sharing the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So I don't know whether you have come across my recent lectures on ziyarah or a book which is based on that, which is published in December. But in any case, over there I have a discussion about ziyarah of mu'mineen of each other and then ziyarah of the infallibles. So on page 25, I have quoted this hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Sometimes, we do things, but we don't know the significance of it. For example, now, mashallah, several sisters have come together and in person they are, following this discussion and, talking to each other. So this is amazing. Of course, we have online also participants, which is also amazing, but we should always prioritize meeting in person over meeting online, and meeting online over not meeting and just everyone doing personal study. Even if you are connected for half an hour, 1 hour online, this is also very sacred, and if it is in person, that's another level. So Imam Baqir alayhi salam said to Khaythama when he had his farewell meeting with Imam alayhi salam, Ya Khaythama. So he's leaving, he's saying goodbye to go back to his city. Imam says, Oh Khaythama, abligh man tara min mawalin as-salam. Convey our salam and greetings to whomsoever from our Shia that you are going to see. وَأَوْصِهِمْ بِتَقْوَى اللَّهِ الْعَظِيمِ. And advise them to have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the great. وَأَنْ يَعُودَ غَنِيُّهُمْ عَلَى فَقِيرِهِمْ وَقَوِيُّهُمْ عَلى ضَعِيفِهِمْ. And that the one among them who is rich would visit the poor Shia. Those who are strong should visit those who are weak. Because if it's the other way around, there is a chance of this person losing his dignity. If the one who is poor visits the rich, there is a risk, unless there is real trust. If the rich visits the poor, there is no risk. Actually, no one is going to humiliate the rich. But there are some rich people that may humiliate poor people, for example. Or if someone who has power and someone is weak. So it's better that the one who has power visits those who have no power. وَأَنْ يَشْهَدَ حَيُّهُمْ جَنَازَةَ مَيِّتِهِمْ. If one of them dies, they should not forget him or her. Our loyalty continues after death. If our moment, brother, sister, family member die, we should not forget them. Of course, we should not forget any person that we had friendship with, but right now our focus is on the believers. And what is very much relevant to our discussion, وَأَنْ يَتَلَاقَوْا فِي بُيُوتِهِمْ. Tell our followers, our Shia, to meet each other in their homes. It's not enough that you work in the same place, for example. It's not enough that you meet in the mosque. Certainly, we must meet in the mosque. We should never stop going to the mosque and meeting the mosque. It cannot be replaced by anything, but it's not enough. In mosque, maybe hundreds or thousands of people go. But we need also close and more intimate relations, like a family. You cannot say to your father, to your mother, to your sister, I see you in the mosque. Even if you go every day to mosque and you see your parents there, still you should try to visit them in their home. So Imam Baqir says, tell them, أن يتلاقوا في بيوتهم. They should do liqa, meeting, in their homes. فإن, please listen carefully, فإن اللقي بعضهم بعضا حياة لأمرنا. Truly, enna is for emphasis, truly, meeting of some of them others, so that means their mutual visitation, is revival of our affair. You don't need to, for example, do heroic things to do some service to the cause of Ahlul Bayt. Of course, if you can do those things, it's great. But just for the sake of Allah, visit each other, spend time together. فإن اللقيا بعضهم بعضا حياة لأمرنا. Their meeting is life for our affairs, the revival. And then Imam said, رحم الله عبدا أحيا أمرنا. May Allah have mercy upon the servant who revives our affair, our cause. This is in Al-Kafi, Volume 2, pages 175 and 176. One of our greatest collections of hadith is Al-Kafi. And we have many more hadiths. So I wanted to show my appreciation of the fact that you get together, and whoever is able to be in person should be in person, present. If not possible, then online, but live. If this is not possible, then recorded, but then try to have discussion with each other also afterwards. Okay, now we go back to our reflections on Surah An-Naba. As you remember, I said there is a question about what is this An-Naba al-Azim, which is mentioned in the first ayah. And I said we will talk about it later, and let us familiarize ourselves with the context in the surah. And we talked about the first several verses of Surah An-Naba, and we said that the context is very much related to creation and resurrection. Or if you want to add, Allah talks to the creation. أَلَمْ نَجْعَلِ الْأَرْضَ مِهَادًا وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا, etc. He refers to the creation, but in order to use it as an evidence, as a reference for resurrection. You would see that the main concern here is to make people aware that resurrection is very possible, and indeed it's necessary to happen. Therefore, later, we have this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ يَوْمَ الْفَصْلِ كَانَ مِيقَاتًا يَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا. So the context of surah very much suggests that this Naba al-Azim must be something related to creation and then resurrection. And perhaps it's more about the resurrection as the news which is going to come. We already have received the news that this is going to happen, but the news as something which has happened, as an incident that has happened, comes in future. But I said in the hadith we find also another point, and that is about wilayah. So let us read some of those hadiths and then see what's the conclusion. In several hadiths from Ahlul Bayt, we have that this Naba al-Azim is wilayah and imamah of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. For example, in Tafsir al-Namuneh, there are 3 hadiths that I'm going to mention. Ayatollah Makarim Shirazi mentions these 3 hadiths. You find it in many sources. One is what is narrated and reported by Muhammad ibn Mu'min Shirazi, one of the Sunni scholars, that he quotes under the ayah amma yatasa'aluna an-Naba al-Azim, a prophetic hadith that An-Naba al-Azim, this is a Sunni scholar, Muhammad ibn Mu'min Shirazi, he's a Sunni scholar. He says that amma yatasa'alun an-Naba al-Azim refers to wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen. People in the grave, in Barzakh, will be asked about this. And no one in the east or west, on the land, in the land or on the sea, would not die unless angels ask him about wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen. They ask, what is your religion, who is your prophet, and who is your imam? Another hadith is that on the day of the Battle of Siffin, a man from Sham, where Muawiyah was residing, and you know Muawiyah had done lots of propaganda against Amirul Mu'mineen salam for years. So there were people who were confused. There were people who didn't want to be bad, but they were confused. And there were, of course, also people who were very vicious. So a man in the army of Sham, in the army of Muawiyah, who had a weapon with him and had also put Quran, hanging on his dress, was reciting amma yatasa'aluna an-Naba al-Azim. Amirul Mu'mineen salam went to see him in the battlefield personally and said, أتعرف النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون? Do you know that great news that they differ about? This is mentioned at the beginning of Surah An-Naba. He said, no, I don't know. Imam said, أنا بالله النبأ العظيم. By God, I am that great news. For Ahlul Bayt, it was very difficult to talk about their merits, but they had to do it because this was their responsibility. It was not a personal thing that you say, okay, let me be, hiding my merits. Let me be, just keeping it with myself. Like other people, they also had responsibility. It's not that other people have responsibility to talk about merits of Ahlul Bayt, or for example, successorship to the Prophet by Ahlul Bayt, etc. They themselves also, everyone has the responsibility to do something possible to educate people about this. So Imam said, An-Naba Allah النبأ العظيم الذي فيه اختلفتم. I am that great news that you differed about. وعلى ولايتي تنازعتم. You had conflict of opinions or conflict among yourself about my wilayah. وعن ولايتي رجعتم بعدما قبلتم. Also, you left my wilayah after you accepted, because these are the people that many of them had given bay'ah to Amirul Mu'minin, they had accepted, but they were not loyal. And then he continued and reached this from وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تَعْلَمُونَ مَا عَمِلْتُمْ. On the day of judgment you will understand, meaning beyond any question, any ambiguity, what you have done. The third hadith is from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. You find it in Tafsir Burhan. According to this hadith, Imam Sadiq said, An-Naba al-Azim al-Walaya. The great news is Walaya, is the guardianship. So, on the one hand, we said the surah with its entire context suggests that Naba al-Azim is resurrection. But on the other hand, we have some hadith that suggest that Naba al-Azim is wilaya and imama of Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam. How should we reconcile between these two opinions? Maybe An-Naba al-Azim, great news, is not just one news. Maybe it's a far-reaching and embracing concept which includes resurrection and imama together, and maybe even other things. Whatever faith has presented, everything that human beings have learned through coming of the Quran and Islam, that is Naba al-Azim. But another possibility is that Quran has zahir wa batin. Inna lil Quran zahran wa batna. Wa li batnihi batna. Ila sab'ina batna. Quran has an outward aspect and meaning and an inward. Inward is the underlying meaning. Not you understand it directly from the words, because it's not the literal meaning of these words, but it's a true meaning which is in more underlying level. But that has another bat. There's a second underlying, and then the third up to 70, and maybe 70 also doesn't mean 69 plus 1. 70 sometimes in Arabic means a lot. So Quran on the level at the level of al-ma'na zahiri and the apparent meaning, the outward meaning, is talking about a great news that seems to be resurrection. But the batin of this ayah is imama of Amirul Mu'minin. So this is also a second possibility. Of course, it's not up to every person to say what is batin or bawatin, what is the underlying or underlyings layers of meaning of the Quran. When it comes to the translation and explanation of the literal meaning or ma'na zahiri, every person with a sound knowledge of Arabic and linguistic principles, etc., can offer something as explanation of what is meant. But when it comes to batn, only ar-rasikhun fil ilm, only those people who are very established and very strong in their knowledge, they can say Therefore, we listen to the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt when it comes to batin. Like some of the verses of the Quran about Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. In Hadith, we find that this ayah refers to to Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. On the surface, as al-Ma'na Zahiri, the ayah has nothing to do with Imam Mahdi. Yes, generally maybe it includes that time as well. But there is nothing specific about it. But al-Ma'na al-Batini is different. So this is what I said we will talk about it later after, we are more familiar with the context. And then we go back to the surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نجعل الأرض مهدا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا. So in several verses, Allah refers to the beauty and wisdom that we have in the creation. We should reflect on this to understand the creation, but also to understand what implications it has for our spirituality. Didn't we make the earth a cradle? So the earth is in motion, as you know, but the movement is so smooth and so, steady, and with a well-studied speed is moving. So comforting, not disturbing, not, annoying, so that you can even sleep. If you have a baby and you are, driving, maybe the baby can can sleep. But if the driver drives very badly, sometimes with very high speed, sometimes stops, sometimes hits people or objects, this is not then mahd, this is not a cradle. It will be very troublesome. So, if you look at the signs of design in the creation, you understand that Allah has created this, and Allah was created for a purpose, and the purpose cannot be achieved through worldly life. It has to be as well leading the hereafter. Alam naj'al al-ardha mihada. Haven't we made the earth a cradle for you? Very smoothly, with a very reasonable speed, is moving, and you can sleep, you can have rest. وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا. Haven't we made mountains like nails for you? These mountains are very important for protecting the earth from earthquake, etc. They act like putting a piece of wood and another piece of wood, and then with nail you attach them to each other. Mountains have this role. وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. We created you in pairs. وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا. We made your sleep a source of serenity, comfort. If we have the best food, best drink, but we are not able to sleep, then we could not have that serenity. Especially if it continues, you may have mental problems, etc. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. Night is not just lack of light. For example, if I go to a basement and make sure that there is no opening to any light outside. So even in the middle of the day, it will be dark. Or in your room, you put curtains, it will be dark. But this is not night. Night is not just dark time. Night is especially made by Allah as a time for rest. Not only physical rest, psychological, intellectual rest. So night is very important. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ سَكَنًا. Therefore, if you have choice, you should not work during the night and then sleep during the day. If you have choice, sometimes you work in a hospital or there are police, etc., that you may not have choice. But if there is choice, don't say, it doesn't matter whether I work in the day or in the night. I can work in the day and sleep in the night, or work in the night and sleep in the day. No, it makes big difference. Day is designed for seeking rizq. Night is designed for relaxing and seeking a spiritual rizq. Hadith says that moving towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be achieved except through night. الوصول إلى الله طريق لا يدرك إلا بامتطاء الليل. امتطاء from مطية. مطية means مركب, like horse, like a donkey, mule, or camel. You cannot reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except if you use night. Salatul layl, tahajjud, istighfar, etc. So a special place or a special time is night. Here Allah says, جَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. We made the night like a dress for you. A dress that would cover you from unnecessary distractions. And it's very much, inclusive. وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. And we made the day. Nahar is different from yawm. Yawm can mean 24 hours. For example, when you say Yawm al-Jumu'ah, it's from the Maghrib on Thursday till Fajr. And then after Fajr till Maghrib. So from Maghrib till another Maghrib, 24 hours. This is Yawm al-Jumu'ah, which starts with the Maghrib. In lunar calendar, day starts with Maghrib, because based on moon. Maghrib is when sun sets, but moon is going to rise, even maybe before Maghrib it's rising. Then after Fajr, sun is rising, moon is going to be not visible. In any case, Yawm can be for 24 hours. If you want to refer to the day in contrast to night, Nahar is very clear. Nahar cannot be used for the night. جَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. We made day, which is bright, which is when sun is shining, ma'ashan, for making your living, seeking, livelihood. وَبَنَيْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ سَبْعًا شِدَادًا. Not only these things on the earth, but also we have created above you 7 skies which are very firm. وَجَعَلْنَا سِرَاجًا وَهَّاجًا. And in this atmosphere, this earth and these 7 skies, we have also put a lantern which is very much shining and also has heat of burning and producing light. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ الْمُعْصِرَاتِ مَاءً ثَجَّاجًا. And we have sent down from clouds water. What kind of water? مَاءً ثَجَّاجًا. Water which is pouring, or water which is very compressed. Sometimes rain comes as scattered drops, but sometimes comes as if there's a current of water coming down. لِنُخْرِجَ بِهِ حَبًّا وَنَبَاتًا. Why we have sent down rain? So that from the earth we can bring out seeds and plants. وَجَنَّاتٍ أَلْفَافًا. And gardens which are very thick. So earth could be in winter dead, but all these things come out of the earth. Now, with this ongoing repetition of seasons, maybe in your life you have seen tens of times revival of the nature of the earth. So should you then be surprised that there would be also a final all-inclusive revival? If it happens year after year after year in every place, then we shouldn't be surprised that if all of us are together also going to be revived. يَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا. The day that it is blown into the trumpet and you come أفواجا, in groups. This you come in groups is very important, because my humble understanding is that at the beginning we are resurrected as individuals. I have explained this in the discussion about social wilaya. First, when you are resurrected as one person. But then Quran says, يَوْمَ نَدْعُو كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ. Then there is a call for assembly. They say every person should assemble behind their leaders in dunya. Who was your imam, your leader in dunya? You will be called to join them. يَوْمَ نَدْعُو كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ. If your leader was Musa alayhi salam, you get together behind him and as a group you go to heaven. But if your leader in dunya was, for example, Fir'aun is not going to help you. And still you need to assemble behind Fir'aun. Fir'aun wants to distance himself from his followers. استبرأ الذين اتبعوا من الذين اتبعوا. Those who were followed would want to distance themselves from those who have followed them. Fir'aun says, why you followed me? I have enough of problems. Even he wants to separate himself. Says, I want to do bara'ah from you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to have anything with you. استبرأ الذين اتبعوا من الذين اتبعوا. But also those who have followed them, now that they see nothing works, these people are not able even to help themselves, let alone help them, then يقولون يا ليتنا كرة فنتبرأ منهم كما تبرأوا منا. We wish we had a chance to return to return dunya and distance ourselves from them as they have distanced themselves from us. Our leaders were not loyal to us. We wish we were going back to dunya and distance ourselves, because it's too late to distance yourself in akhirah. You have to distance in dunya. So initially everyone is resurrected as individual. Quran says kullun atihi yawm al-qiyamati fardan. We say farda means fardan. Everyone comes tomorrow as one individually. Or laqad ji'tumuna furada, you came to us as individuals. But after yawma nad'u kulla unasin bi imamihim, we would have then groups. Therefore, when they go to heaven, سيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا. Those who are muttaqi, they are led towards heaven in groups. Zumar is plural of zumra. In groups they go, not one by one. Also, سيق الذين كفروا إلى جهنم زمرا. Those who go to hell also will go in groups. So this is very important. Which group you belong to in dunya, which leader you follow in dunya, they would determine your situation in the hereafter. يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا. But in addition to this discussion that we had, there is another level of discussion again. So we said people go behind their leaders and they go together. But also some hadith said that on the day of judgment, people are resurrected, some as human beings, some as animals. فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا. They come in groups, human beings, dogs, pigs, monkeys. This is actually the reality of people in this world, but it's not visible. If we had sharp vision, we could see in dunya who is a true human being, who is just a wild animal. Right now it is covered. Muslim philosophers have very well discussed this issue. You shouldn't think all human beings are the same in nature. We look at the body and say they are all human beings. Yes, but some human beings are truly human beings. Some human beings are wild animals. Or they just are animals who enjoy themselves. You have heard that story that when Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam went for Hajj, someone said, Ma akthar al-hajij. What a large number of hujjaj are here. And it is said that Imam said, Ma aksar al-dhajij wa aqall al-hajij. There are lots of noise. Many people are, saying things like, labbaik, etc. But true hujjaj are not many. Of course, inshallah, this is not every year the case. At least in that year it was like this. Maybe many other times it's like this. So we shouldn't just see at the surface everyone is doing tawaf. Even tyrants also, sometimes they go and do tawaf. In reality, it's different. Therefore, Imam asked him to look through his fingers at the crowd, and he saw that they were not all human beings. We have lots of reports from reliable sources, reliable mystics that had vision of people and seeing them as different types of animals and human beings. So this is also mentioned in our hadith as an explanation for this ayah. Again, this would be batin of ayah. يَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا. The day that it is blown into the trumpet and you come as groups. In Surah Yasin, we realize that there are two kinds of sayha. Once there is a big cry, or maybe big, blowing into the trumpet, and everyone dies. And then again, there is another sayha, everyone is revived. Ayah here refers to the second, so the one which is followed by resurrection. Okay, inshallah we continue from verse 19, bi'iznillah. If you have any questions, comments, inshallah we can receive. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.